Hello, and welcome to the University of California Admitted Student Reception. I'm Michelle Whittingham, the Associate Vice Chancellor of Enrollment Management. One of the items that David didn't mention to you is that we have some questions for you at the end of our program today. I like to refer to this as our slug trivia, so listen carefully throughout the program. I have had the great opportunity to oversee undergraduate admissions, financial aid, and scholarships, as well as the orientation program over the last 12 years. We work closely with every part of the university as we recruit, select, transition, and support our future alumni. This includes the important work with our faculty who determine who is invited to participate today, our admitted students, the students who will be in their classrooms, as well as working with them on their research. I want to congratulate you for the many, many years of hard work and dedication that has led you here today. To you, your family, and all of the other supporters along the way, your teachers, counselors, coaches, and more. We recognize how much you have done to be able to be here today. Before the coronavirus, we had planned to be seeing you in person in places throughout the state of California, as well as New York, Seattle, Austin, Fort Lauderdale, Chicago, and several other cities. While I would most certainly like to be meeting you in person, we felt that it was very important to do our part to minimize the transmission of the coronavirus. Thus, you have us on your screens today. I truly appreciate you spending time with us. One of the many great things about being at UC Santa Cruz is getting to know many students and families, as well as working with some incredible colleagues. I have a few of my favorite colleagues here with me today. You've met David, and also Monica and Glenn, can you tell our guests a little bit about your roles on campus?
Thanks, I'd love to. I run the program where you can start early this summer. I'm Dr. Monica Parikh, and I'm the Director of Summer Edge. You can take classes this summer remotely online towards your degree and learn about the campus, the library, resources, the Career Center, and make great friends before the rush of fall. I'm happy to answer your questions today in chat as well as live.
Hi, my name is Glenn Gumin, and I'm the Assistant Director of Financial Aid and Scholarships. I help coordinate our service channels and special programs such as Study Abroad, Summer Session, Summer Edge, and Outreach. I hope you find the presentation helpful. Our office welcomes you, and we look forward to seeing all of you in the near future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Monica and Glenn. That was really helpful. Our goal is to help you gain a much better understanding of all that UC Santa Cruz has to offer in order to help you determine if Santa Cruz is the right place for you to achieve your goals and dreams. We also hope to have a little bit of fun along the way. Next, I'm excited to deliver UC Santa Cruz straight to you with our first video, which is just a 5-minute long video. Hello, I'm Michelle Whittingham, the Associate Vice Chancellor of Enrollment Management here at the University of California, Santa Cruz. I'm really excited to share some of the Santa Cruz story with you. UC Santa Cruz started as a radical, bold experiment by UC President Kerr and Chancellor McHenry. Kerr was previously the Chancellor of UC Berkeley and did not want to build another LA nor Berkeley. He wanted to model the campus after Oxford and Cambridge, creating a world-class research university with the comfort and feel of a small liberal arts college. We now have 10 colleges, each with its own theme, such as international and global perspectives and environment and society. Each college is a living and learning community supported by faculty and staff who provide academic support, including advising and courses. Student activities and events enhance intellectual and social life. Students refer to their colleges as their neighborhood within the larger community, each with its own vibe. Colleges are interdisciplinary with students interested in all majors. We recently joined the AAU, an achievement that underscores the impact and quality of our research and graduate and undergraduate education. Founded in 1900, the AAU has 65 members. This is a formal acknowledgement of the power that comes from applying diverse perspectives to the world's biggest challenges. membership is limited to institutions at the forefront of scientific inquiry and educational excellence. Let me share some stories with you that led to this recognition. In May of 2000, the race to sequence the human genome was on. Biomolecular engineering professor David Hausler teamed up with Jim Kent, a graduate student in molecular, cell, and developmental biology. There was concern that if a private company was successful first, they would prevent the free dissemination of information. Just 3 days before the private company finished, our biology genius and brilliant computer scientist defied the odds to become the first in the world to assemble the DNA pieces of the human genome. The Human Genome Project has been described as an historic achievement that revolutionized the diagnosis, prevention, and individual treatment of disease. The quality of our programs and faculty spans the 4 academic divisions and 1 school. The Film and Digital Media program was ranked one of the top 10 in the US. A history alumnus won an Emmy Award. Our faculty care deeply about our students and making the world a better place. Professor Knoller recently won the Breakthrough Prize for revealing how the complex molecular machines called ribosomes translate genetic code and build the proteins in all living cells. This award has been referred to as the Nobel Prize of the Silicon Valley. Professor Liu studies the interrelationships between human societies and the natural environment. She integrates social and natural science approaches to study resource use and conservation among indigenous peoples in Ecuador, with a focus on land use, social change, cultural resilience, and household economic strategies. She is also the provost of College 9 and College 10. Professor Williams is dedicated to studying the comparative ecophysiology and exercise physiology of human athletes and apex predators, including lions, dolphins, wolves, whales, and bears. By examining the functional relationships between humans, animals, and their environment, she strives to understand the ecological significance of a species and the physiological adaptations necessary for survival in a constantly changing world. Professor Ramirez Ruiz's research focuses on the violent universe with an emphasis on stellar explosions, gamma ray bursts, and accretion phenomena near compact objects. He did his graduate work at the Institute of Astronomy at the University of Cambridge. Before coming to Santa Cruz, he was a postdoctoral fellow at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton. Over 70% of our students are engaged in research or creative studies. We promote the development, research, and teaching of innovation and entrepreneurship. These experiences launch students into their careers. We rank in the top 20 for universities most likely to land students a job in the Silicon Valley. Susan is not only known as the CEO of YouTube. Google was started in her garage. She became Google's first marketing manager. Her undergraduate degree from Harvard is in English. UC Santa Cruz now ranks in the top 15 in the world for research influence and top 30 in the US for undergraduate teaching, the only public university that excels at the top in both areas combined. I would say the bold experiment by UC President Kerr and Chancellor McHenry was wildly successful. I sure hope you enjoyed the video as much as I do each and every time I reflect back and think about the achievements that our faculty and the campus has had in general. I feel so lucky to be able to share this information with you. I do have to clarify the little bit of laughter I had related to the English comment, and I'm fascinated, and if we were there in person, I would have actually given you a quiz and asked you what you think Susan's undergraduate degree from Harvard was in, and nobody, whether it's right here in Santa Cruz or San Jose or down in LA or New York or even out of the country, has ever guessed her undergraduate degree. And so I always share that it's English, because any of you English majors out there today, if anybody asks you, well, what are you going to do with a major in English? Monica, what might you share with them?
I'm going to develop and run a huge corporation.
Right? That's awesome. So that was my little bit of giggle. So I feel like I had to clarify that when we were making the video. We are going to spend a little bit of time on our student success slide before moving on to many other topics. And again, the primary goal on our campus is to help each student reach their full potential. through challenging academic programs, as well as student services and programs offered throughout the campus. The health and safety of our community is the top priority for our campus. This was demonstrated firsthand by the timely decisions made by our campus leadership regarding the cancellation of our travel, as well as the move to remote instruction for spring and summer. At this time, we do not yet know the status of fall instruction, though I understand you're very interested. Just as soon as we know, we will be communicating broadly and making ourselves available to address the questions you may have.
And if you're thinking about health and safety on campus, we have a health center right on campus, a beautiful modern health center right on campus, and a fire station, excuse me, and our own police department with sworn officers. Many students train on safety, including lifeguarding and wilderness rescue. In Summer Edge, for example, and year-round, the resident advisors and the peer mentors who live on the floors with you students often have life-saving certification and CPR training.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Monica. Academic advising is offered in each of our residential colleges, as well as within each department and your specific major. I'm curious, has anybody in our audience today changed their mind about the major you put on your application back in November? Hope you can see Monica waving her hand. I want to assure you that you don't need to worry about that. This is very, very common. So I want to explain two different phases, your proposed major as well as declaring a major. So proposing your major is simply indicating an interest in a specific major, and this is what you did on your admissions application. Declaring a major is a more formal process that you go through with your department or major advisor. You can update your proposed major online within the portal. Computer science for freshmen is the only exception. And so for our freshmen, if you had, for example, history, you could change into robotics, you could change into music, you could change into neuroscience. You have a lot of flexibility. The only exception to that is if you did not have computer science as a proposed major, you can't change your major into computer science. And this is really due to our goal of balancing the access and maintaining the quality of that program, given the very high demand. If you're a transfer student, 34 of our majors have specific requirements to get into those courses or into those majors, like economics, biology, certainly psychology, and many others. And so if you didn't have a proposed major of one of those 34, you can't later transfer into that major. However, we have 30 other majors that don't have specific requirements. So you would be able to update your major to one of those 30 that don't have those specific requirements. Given we offer a liberal arts degree, I want to ensure that everybody fully understands how that really works. And all of our students have the opportunity to take courses in multiple areas. Our writers and artists will take math and science classes, and our math and science students will have art and writing courses. Often students, locally nor globally, reflect on the value of a liberal arts degree. So I want to take a little time to share a definition with you that comes from the Association of American Colleges and Universities. They describe a liberal arts education as an approach to learning that empowers individuals and prepares them to deal with complexity, diversity, and change. It provides students with broad knowledge of the wider world, science, culture, and society, as well as in-depth study of a specific area of interest, which of course is your major. A liberal education helps students develop a sense of social responsibility, as well as a strong and transferable intellectual problem-solving skills and a demonstrated ability to provide knowledge and skills in real-world setting. I'd like to add that it prepares students for the vast uncertainty that we call our future. In addition, you have a great level of flexibility to individualize your coursework. While there's certainly required courses in specific majors, there are many areas where you get to choose from many different courses. Just for you, I recently counted the number of courses that satisfy our cross-cultural analysis general education requirement that all students must take, especially the first-year students coming in. Any idea how many courses you get to choose from? You get to choose from over 207, and I think I had exactly, I try to give about that in case I missed a course or two, from ranging from theater arts and music to environmental studies and politics, to film and digital media, to literature, and so many more. You just might find a passion in something that you had not previously considered. To demonstrate this firsthand, let me tell you one of my favorite stories about a new French literature student who started many years ago. This young student was excited about her major in French literature. And I mentioned earlier, her academic advisor that supported her had to keep reminding her to take her science courses. And so finally she decided on an oceanography class. And do you think, what do you think happened, Monica? Did she like that? Did she not like it?
I bet she loved it.
You are so good. And so she ended up changing her major and actually graduating with a degree in earth sciences. This student was Catherine Sullivan. She became the first American woman to walk in space. She served under President Obama as the administrator of the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration and managed a $4.7 billion budget. And that's billion-dollar worldwide budget. All of this because the type of degree that we offer that requires you to take general education courses that go well beyond your major. Other advising is also available through programs such as the Educational Opportunity Program, known as EOP, our Services for Transfer and Reentry Students, known as STARS, our many resource centers, including the Veterans Resource Center.
And thank you to our veterans and family members. Thank you very much for your service. As you learn more about yourself through your classes and develop your academic passion as you get into your major, you can also learn a lot more about your culture at UCSC. Or expand yourself as you learn about others' cultures in our ethnic resource centers. You can join lots of clubs and organizations such as the Chinese Student Union, the Black Student Alliances, the Indian, Vietnamese, Korean Student Association, Los Mexicas Folklorico Dancing, who danced at my wedding, or clubs on religion, politics, or history.
We also have International Student and Scholar Services, which provide visa and immigration advising for all of our international students, from help with your first visa down to the OPT applications. Once you're on campus, we also offer through our ISSS program orientation events, workshops, referrals to cultural and personal or any other concerns that you might have in terms of transitioning to our campus. We work closely with CAPS, which is our Counseling and Psychological Services, which provides a range of mental health services, mental health and wellness services to make sure you're happy, healthy, and getting the most out of your experience. We're super excited to even be able to address some of these specific questions a little bit later. Career and graduate advising services helps prepare students for what they want to do with their lives by developing relevant career skills. We want students to start planning early. I recommend you not wait until your last year to start accessing career services. Go to them early because our career coaches can sit down with you one-on-one to answer your questions and help plan the next steps of your career. We also have a designated international career coach. UC Santa Cruz also provides many financial resources to help make a UC Santa Cruz degree possible.
Now, it's important to review the total cost of attendance before covering aid and scholarships. Now, these figures represent the estimate for the next year, and aside from tuition and UC Student Health, the amounts are averages for all students based on surveys. Now, you can imagine transportation amount will vary greatly depending on where you live. Now, if you're not a resident of California, either international or from another state, you will pay non-resident supplemental tuition since we are a public university. We will now share some information about scholarships and other ways to save. Now, we believe in you. Our goal is to do our part to provide resources that will make a UC Santa Cruz education more affordable. We awarded $290 million to students last year. We started making Frosh Awards a couple weeks ago and Transfer Awards this past week. Now, in addition to merit and need-based awards that have gone out, many of you may have been offered the Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan. Now, this plan is designed specifically for our California residents students. For California students with family incomes of less than $80,000, you can plan to receive gift aid to cover system-wide tuition and fees. The amount is covered from all gift sources, including Pell Grant, Cal Grant, University Grant, and scholarships. Students who meet the criteria, who have financial need, and do not seek gift aid from these sources that meet system-wide tuition and fees can plan to see a Blue and Gold award in October. Other programs we provide include merit aid, such as Regent Scholarship, or the Undergraduate Dean's Award for non-residents. Now, upon declaring your major, you may also find scholarships within your major department.
And there's other ways to save time and money. Many of you worked so hard that you're going to be able to bring college credit and other exam scores, AP, IB, coursework to UCSC. Those credits, along with other options like an accelerated 3-year pathway and taking summer classes, you could even finish early or guarantee that you'll finish on time.
Monica, do you have, excuse me, Monica, do you have a slide for this one, I think?
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
I knew you had one in.
There are accelerated 3-year pathways. Those are typically for a student who's certain of their major, doesn't change majors or add a second, like a minor. Or you can stay and take summer classes. Another way to save time and money is by taking summer classes. You could start this summer. Freshmen and transfers can start this summer instead of waiting until fall. Or every summer, any summer that you're a student, you can stay on campus and take classes, or you can go home, travel, and take online classes. This summer, of course, the classes will all be online, 100% remote, so you can take them from anywhere. And in summer, not like fall, winter, spring, but in summer only, all students pay the same amount of tuition. They all pay the California rate. There's no additional non-resident tuition in summer, which saves non-residents and out-of-state students thousands of dollars. You can also work on campus. There are loads of part-time jobs in facilities like the libraries, the dining halls, and the fitness centers. Or you could be a tutor in the tutoring center. That's a fabulous job. You could work in offices like Glenn's financial aid office or my summer programs office. There's a 20-hour-a-week max while classes are in session. They're huge resume builders. You make great connections and enhance skills you may not even know you have.
Thanks so much, Monica, for mentioning the on-campus jobs. And that's something that I think all of our offices really benefit from, and the campus relies heavily. And so I think that those jobs, whether you really think you have to or just want to, it's kind of a whole nother community, I think, within the larger campus as well. So great. And we couldn't survive. Our offices couldn't survive without our students who we partner so closely with. And we learn as much from the students, I think, as they learn from us. Many of our top students, perhaps many of you joining us today, have already received an Undergraduate Dean's Award or a Regents or Merit Award that Glenn had mentioned previously. And again, upon declaring your major, please don't forget to seek out the different scholarships within your department. And I know that many of you will also be bringing scholarships with you when you come to campus, and so make sure that we're aware of those awards. So does anybody know who we have in the photo here on our slide? That is our beloved mascot, Sammy the Slug. So just wanted to ensure that you all know that yes, we are the proud Banana Slugs.
So in this unique time, our team recognizes that financial circumstances may have changed for you and your family. To determine how your aid may change from the conditional offer you will or have received, you can access our financial aid estimator on our website at financialaid, all one word, .ucsc.edu. We'll put up the link later in this presentation. The Financial Aid Estimator is located currently under Quick Links on our main page. Now, if you haven't received an award yet, there's a couple of key things that you can do. First, ensure UC Santa Cruz was listed on your FAFSA or the DREAM application if applicable. So our school code is 001321. Second, ensure your Social Security number was listed on your admissions application if you're a FAFSA applicant. If this is the case, please contact the financial aid office. And finally, please check your portal for any to-do items.
Glenn,
Yeah.
Glenn, quickly, I think it's awesome that you've added, I think, the aid calculator right here to the new slide that we have. So I think that's here as well, if anybody needs to look at that. So that's super helpful.
Okay, and so now with awards, all FROSH should have an award by today, April 17th, and our transfers by May 18th. So that would be this weekend, okay? So after May 1st, you can then formally appeal online through your portal through Financial Aid's Student Forms, which is an e-form platform where you will be able to upload documents. You'll not need to mail documents to us. We'll review appeals all through the summer. Now, please note that during the COVID-19 pandemic, our office is currently only accessible via email to FinAid, and that's FINAID @ucsc.edu. And our average response time is around 5 to 7 business days. Thanks for your patience while we serve our continuing and new students. We have recently started making financial aid and scholarship awards. So pay attention to these dates and deadlines here. If you happen to receive a request to verify information, please ensure you respond quickly. Upon receiving a final award, you must accept or decline your award offer.
And Glenn, where would a student receive a request to verify information, or where would they accept or decline their award offer? I didn't go to UCSC as a student.
Yeah, that would be on your My UCSC portal, and you would go under the financial aid section, and make sure you go under the 2021 award year, not 2020, which is current, but next year for the next academic year.
Thanks.
Super helpful. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I know most of you are not only planning to seek and create new knowledge, I imagine you and your families are also hoping you have a very fulfilling career. Our alumni are highly sought after locally and globally. We recently were identified as one of the 20 universities most likely to land you a job in the Silicon Valley. And I know we had that in our video and wanted to really reinforce that here and to share a specific example of a program that we have for students to really help really refine those skills. We have a new program that's called CruzX, which is a new social network for campus innovators, entrepreneurs, and change makers, helping to prepare you for your future. CruzX is an entry point to access new opportunities, funding, yes, some additional money, and support for ideas and innovations. As you will know, humanity is faced with many complex challenges, and we're bringing together the UC Santa Cruz community to innovate for the world.
Great. Thank you, Michelle. Thanks for all the information. And I just want to let you know that I've been tracking the questions. We have close to 300 questions already. 200 of them have been answered.
My favorite part.
And so we're on track to have a record number of questions, which is awesome. So I think one of the questions that I've seen a number of times would be how is the COVID-19 coronavirus situation changing the process and the potential fall start for campus at this point? Michelle?
No, I would love to start with that. And I did definitely add a few words in the beginning because we're anticipating that question from you. And I just really do want to recognize for everybody that this has been a really challenging time with so many uncertainties. And so our campus, again, just to even back up a little bit of what we did initially, is we have our campus leadership with a lot of campus level experts, community, as well as the state, and of course the federal government, ensuring that we are up to date every step of the way. And so very initially, we knew that we were going to have to cancel travel. A very timely decision was made to transition spring instruction into a remote instruction framework. And then I think, Monica, it was about a week ago that the announcement was made about summer session. And so right now we're having these very same discussions. We've got several teams put together on campus, and we're reviewing a variety of options for fall. Certainly looking at in-person, looking at, you know, continued remote instruction, maybe a combination of both. And so our goal is to have a decision sometime around mid to late May. And you will be some of the first to know as soon as we have an understanding. But again, we're working with health experts, we're working with others to ensure that we can make the best decision that's really focused on the health and safety of our community. And once we have that decision, again, we will be communicating that with you, and we will set up another one of these live webinars so that we can be available to answer any questions or concerns that you might have. In addition to that, just focused on fall, we will have some information at the end of the program, looking to provide you with as much support and flexibility, knowing that your educational experience, whether that be in high school or at a college, has changed drastically. And finishing the courses you had anticipated, the types of grading systems we are expecting will be varied, and then trying to get your transcripts to us in a timely fashion, we anticipate will be challenging. So we're here to support you. We're here to provide flexibility as well.
So we had, thank you, Michelle. We have a couple different questions about the timing of the process. So the decision deadline is May 1st for freshman applicants and June 1st for transfer. If students are admitted and would like to defer, can you talk a little bit about, you know, given the current coronavirus situation, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, no, that's great. And we do anticipate one of our goals is for any students who want to join us anytime next year, keeping that open. We would like to see you accepting your offer of admission by the May 1 deadline for FROSH, as well as the June 1 for transfers. And then again, as soon as we know what's going to happen, we completely anticipate that some students, let's say we're in person, I think that makes things really simple. People would move forward, but we anticipate if we do offer or have to offer remote instruction in the fall, some of you might want to take advantage of that, but others may want to defer until winter. And so we will work with you, working with the Office of Admissions through what is called the miscellaneous appeals process. If you want to defer your start date to winter, you will be able to do that. But ideally letting us know by our deadline of May 1 for FROSH, June 1 for transfers. So that will allow you that flexibility to start in the fall, to start in the winter. We also anticipate some students might want to defer to fall 2021. And so there will be an appeals process so that we can keep track of that information. And we'll be getting back to students just as quickly as we can. So I think the key message, if you would like to join us next year, and again, I know for families, this is unnerving to say the least, but we would like to have a confirmation of your plan to join us at some point next year by those existing deadlines. And then we'll work with you on transitioning.
Thank you so much, Michelle. So I have a couple questions for Glenn. First of all, could you talk a little bit about where we are in the process of the financial aid and scholarships process for both freshmen and transfers?
Yeah, so at this point, we should have finished our conditional aid offers being sent out today. And then tomorrow, we should have our transfer students, their conditional aid offers out also, so over this weekend.
Glenn, can you clarify real quickly? I had understood, I believe that the freshmen would be completed by today, but transfers were May 18th?
Oh, I'm sorry, it is May 18th. Tomorrow's the 18th,
Okay.
That's why I was confusing that.
Okay, perfect. So I think we're just getting started on the transfers that freshmen should, if we had their if UC Santa Cruz was on their FAFSA, freshmen should all have an award ideally by today, unless
Correct.
it's one of those reasons you mentioned. And the transfers, we should have them all awarded by May 18th.
Correct. Plenty of time right before their SIR deadline.
Perfect.
And you talked, I think you talked a little bit about in your presentation about the implications, again, of the coronavirus and the COVID-19 situation. And could you just briefly summarize what steps should a family take if they've had changes in their income or if they have other impacts from the coronavirus situation?
Yeah, so you'll want to, if there's a change in your financial situation, you'll want to contact our office. There is an appeals process, okay? But we will not start taking appeals until after May 1st, so after the first SIR deadline. The outline of all the different requirements, the type of things that we look at are on our website. Again, it's financialaid.ucsc.edu. And there is a section called appeals on there to where you can see those different requirements, including some documentation.
Yeah, and Glenn, I want to share, I know that just today I spoke with Patrick Register, our Director of Financial Aid and Scholarships, and I think for students and families, I think Glenn gave some really good information. I think if you're interested before the May 1 deadline, I think you gave us that great website earlier for the Financial Aid Estimator, so that you could go in and try to get an understanding of how your package may change based on an updated income range that you might include. And we do plan for our campus, we'll be looking at additional aid from the university. We call that our university grant program. And then anybody eligible or that would become eligible for Cal Grants or Pell Grants, those are the types of new aid that you might see in your package or some adjustments with those levels.
Thank you, Michelle. Another question that's related to one of the ones that I asked before, Michelle, which is around the coronavirus COVID-19 situation. So as students start to pay deposits for coming to the university, what would happen if courses, for example, ended up having to be taught online for the fall semester? How would the housing be handled in that scenario?
Yeah, no, thank you. If you had asked me this quite a while ago, it would be, well, it's a great question, but we just literally went through that spring quarter with our students. And so let's walk that through in terms of fall. And so if you decide to come to Santa Cruz, you'll hear a little bit about our college assignment process here in the next part of the program, but you would have the housing application. We would potentially put the fees on for housing as well as dining. And if for some reason, if the decision is made to go remote, we fully refunded the students that were, withdrew their housing and moved out for spring. We fully refunded, or really we reversed the charges for the housing as well as dining. And then for anybody that had financial aid, we simply changed the budgets from an on-campus to an off-campus budget. And so we would certainly reverse any charges that went onto your account for fall quarter if you are not living in residence. So that's a great question.
Great, and the panel would be pleased to know that we're closing in on, I think we've already passed 400 questions. So another question, one question that has to do with Summer Edge. So if a student does come to the Summer Edge program, can they transfer those credits to another University of California campus if they end up attending elsewhere?
Absolutely, David, that's a great question. A student can transfer very easily between the UCs. The UC's offices of admissions and registrar's offices work really collaboratively together to even pre-state which classes will count as what degree requirements. So very smooth. And your credits, GPA, your grades will transfer in your UC-wide GPA if you transfer those credits. Similarly, since there are some of the best universities in the country, the University of California system, these classes will transfer pretty much anywhere. So I hope you feel like it wouldn't be a waste of time at all to make the most of your summer.
Great, thank you. Also, another related question, and I know we're going to cover more about the Summer Edge and advising and orientation later on in the program, but when generally would students start to think about the courses they'll be taking as a first-year student, and particularly looking at time to to completing their major and thinking about connecting with an advisor. And is that something that often happens during the summer programs as well?
Absolutely. That's a primary goal of EDGE, is for all the frosh and all the transfers getting ready for fall to spend some time over summer planning ahead so that they have a really successful fall, winter, and spring. So we have already determined the classes that we'd recommend to each of you to take in summer. For the frosh, it's a list put together by academic advisors of classes that would be really good fits for you to either get started on your major or to finish a different degree requirement, like a general education requirement. And for transfer students, I talked to each one of the major advisors, and they listed for me what class they want you to take. For psych, it's psych 100. For ling, it's ling 50. For astrophysics, it's a math class. So we have a lot of really clean determinations on what you should take in summer, so that'll be easy. Then during summer is when we help work with you to plan out your fall, winter, and spring enrollment. And we help you come up with a plan B in case something you might want might be filled, or how do I take a quarter off to do a study abroad and then reshuffling, and I kind of want to add a minor, how could I do that? So the Stevenson 26 and the Kresge 25 classes that are required in EDGE, those, the faculty spend a lot of time helping you develop that, and academic advisors will work with you this summer on your course planning. Then separately, all the majors have a one-page sheet online already that shows a frosh or a transfer, what a penciled out 4 years or 2 years would look like with each of the degree requirements, a good idea on what order to take them in, and what your general education requirements are outside of your major.
Great, thank you so much, Monica.
Well, and I would just add to that, Monica, you did an awesome job. And I know that our advising community, as you can imagine, is working really closely with their current students in June, processing and doing everything around graduation. And students really begin in June, at the end of June, beginning of July, hearing pretty frequently from the academic advisors, whether it's the colleges or the departments. And then I was just talking with our orientation director today, Rosa Plaza, and she reminded me, because I knew that these questions would be coming up, that I think it's July 20th through July 24th, we have kind of this virtual advising week. And so there's a lot of advising that's available really throughout the campus in a much more intensified fashion right before the fall enrollment period begins. So
yeah, it's real built into orientation and into the advising week. So for students who are feeling nervous about it now, we would never expect that you would know what to take in fall on April, 17th.
Great, thank you. Glenn, another question, I think just another question about scholarships. So I believe that we do have some international students who are actually participating today on the call. And so they might be curious to know more about the Dean's Award or the Regents scholarships that might have been posted. Have those been posted to the portals already?
Yes, those should have already been posted on the portals, but they would definitely want to look at their different scholarship opportunities. Some different resources for them would be such as the IEFA.org scholarship, internationalscholarships.com, and then fundingusstudy.org. Those are three different type of international scholarship resources that they can utilize outside of the Dean's Award that you mentioned also.
Glenn, could you clarify, because I know some of the students ask often, can I have an undergraduate Dean's Award and a Regents Award? And so, students are able, those are absolutely amazing, outstanding students. If you were offered both of those, the students don't have to pick between those awards, right?
Correct, yeah, you're correct.
And then I know the freshmen, students coming directly from high school, those awards have gone out for the undergrad Dean's Award. Have our international transfer students also started receiving their undergraduate Dean's Awards or Regents?
No, those haven't gone out yet. Again, we're looking at that May 18th to get all those completed also.
Okay, because I think, again, I know for our audience that we do have both students coming directly from high school as well as other colleges. And as you're putting together, those timelines do vary.
Correct, yes.
And in a clarification for a timeline, David, can I ask one other timeline that may be different for students from high school versus colleges? I think those appeals processes for changes in income start on May 1. Is that for our freshmen as well as transfers, or does the transfer appeal process start after their deadline?
So it's after their deadline.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, so after the June 1st deadline.
Okay, so I think that is an important clarification. And again, I think there's a lot of timelines that vary because of that. So the appeals for freshmen available beginning May 1, transfers beginning June 1st.
Yes, that's
Perfect.
correct.
Right, so I have maybe one more question before we move to the next section. And Michelle, could you talk a little bit about the process of double majoring or major and minor? If someone, for example, wanted to study English, anthropology, and biology, how would that work?
Wow, I would say, first of all, that's a highly motivated student. Well, and I think our students that we see at Santa Cruz have a lot of interests that we like to refer to as, you know, kind of interdisciplinary, that do come from many different majors. And I've been on campus, as I shared, for 12 years. And in the beginning, there were so many students that were double majoring that I had to go to my colleagues in advising and say, do our students think that this is a requirement? Because there was so much interest. And I think it's so individual in terms of a student. And many of you are bringing in some credits from AP or IB or other college coursework before you even graduate from high school. And so, you know, many students do. They might find areas of similarity, maybe politics and business. But I think what you described is also possible. And even as much as arts and biology, some students do want to bring very different disciplines together. Yet I would encourage you to think about, you know, what's motivating you to double major. And some students that want to go on to graduate school right away, rather than staying longer to double major, you may, Monica had mentioned our 3-year pathways that are these accelerated pathways that you might be able to finish earlier. And maybe that helps you to get on to graduate school, maybe with a major and a minor as opposed to a double major. But I think really reflecting on what your interests are, what your goals are, you know, talking to your advisor, talking with career services, and then determining truly what's best for you.
Great, thank you so much.
And again, I think just about anything is triple major. Like, again, I would honestly have to warn you a little bit, not impossible, but again, Monica's program, you know, in the summer, when you take advantage of the different opportunities that are available, yeah, you can get a lot out of your time on campus for sure.
Great, Monica?
Great, that was really fun. Those are super interesting questions. Let's look at a few more things. Let's move on to a couple new things. Campus life. So learning also means having fun, and UCSC is a really, really fun campus. I think you know that to have applied to come here. This slide is really fun. This is the Holy Festival that takes place in the campus lawn. If you've had an opportunity to come see campus behind the fitness center, there's a huge lawn that overlooks the ocean, and that's where the track is. And the Indian Student Association puts on this Holy Festival. It's the most fun, takes the best pictures you've ever seen. So your college is going to host a lot of engaging events right in your residence halls. And whether you live on or off campus, you're welcome at everything, of course. And campus does too. Campus hosts a lot of campus-wide events. We have over 150 clubs and organizations with different themes like academic, cultural and identity, sustainability and our environment, community service, the performing arts, political advocacy, and other interests like saving the ocean, organic farming, and hip hop. And also start your own. There's a lot of opportunities on and off campus to seek internships across the range of majors. So I want to make sure you know that you can pursue things outside of class to build your resume as well.
Awesome. So Glenn or Monica, have you ever been to the Holy Festival?
Mm-hmm. And I saw a picture of you covered in beautiful colors from last year.
Oh my gosh, it is so amazing. And that's why I love that picture, because it really captures really the feeling of attending. And so Glenn, I think, and David, did you say yes or no? We'll have to get David and Glenn out there this next year.
It's fun.
And the music, it's really exciting. So thanks for sharing about that. We also offer study abroad, and we refer to that as our Education Abroad program. And if you have never thought about studying abroad, I would highly, highly recommend that you do so. I feel really fortunate. When I was in high school, I had an opportunity to study in Panama for a year. And that experience was completely transformative in terms of, again, not just learning about another country, another culture, and the people, certainly all of the communication skills that you learn, and then you learn so much about yourself as well. So I know that it's been a big part of shaping who I am. So again, if you haven't considered that, I highly encourage you to do that. And I know that your scholarships and your financial aid can apply towards those experiences. So we want to provide you an opportunity to graduate with an additional and meaningful international experience. It helps to build also an internationalized campus that cultivates really cultivates an understanding of our diverse global community right here in Santa Cruz as well. And again, we want to encourage students to study, explore, and engage with other cultures to broaden, your perspective and involvement with the world around us. Are there any student athletes in the audience today? Okay, I thought there might be a few. UC Santa Cruz offers both competitive sports and recreational sports. We offer NC2A Division III athletic teams and recreational sports clubs that compete against other universities. We're now in the American Southwest Conference. If you prefer a little less competition, you can check out the intramural competition where you compete against other Banana Slugs. Although I do hear that that's pretty competitive as well. So they probably wouldn't like me saying that about them. I wanted to share a little bit about a ranking that we recently received, and UC Santa Cruz debuted as the second best university in the country for social mobility according to the 2020 US News and World Report rankings. This was the first ever social mobility list that measures how well universities graduate students who receive the Pell Grants. These grants are typically awarded to students who come from households that earn less than $50,000 annually. We are really proud of this recognition because our goal is to ensure that all students succeed. Here on campus, we highly value diversity and inclusion. We know that conversation goes and work goes well beyond enrolling a diverse student body. The HSI team and federal grant funding provides Latinx students with academic and community building support as they enter UC Santa Cruz and work toward graduation. We hope to level the playing field and create greater equity at the university for those who are Latinx, first generation, or low-income college students. Our HSI team is committed to long-term change efforts that ensure Latinx students wholeheartedly take part in our community, find success in their educational journey, and graduate to make an impact on the world. These are the 10 residential colleges that you saw in the video. Each college has a first-year writing course with no more than 30 students focused on the college theme. Again, this writing course is for the students entering directly from high school. For example, Rachel Carson College's theme is Environment and Society. While the college includes students from all academic majors, the theme of the college, with its commitment to and concern for the environment, creates a common bond for all Rachel Carson students. One of the books for the core course is called Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. She warned of the dangers of all natural systems from the misuse of pesticides. She is known for initiating the environmental movement as we know today. Imagine how wonderful it is that all first-year students within the college are reading the same books and have similar writing assignments. The students are discussing the books during meal times, in the courtyards, as well as their rooms. Housing is guaranteed for your first 2 years as a frosh and for 1 year as a transfer. However, there are some students that may receive a guarantee for longer, and you can find that on the housing website. All undergraduates are affiliated with the college and remain affiliated with the college all the way through graduation and on until their alumni years. But you're affiliated whether you live on campus or not. I still don't have a favorite college, and if you ask a student what their favorite college is or what the best college is, it will always be their college. Monica or Glenn, do you happen to have a favorite college?
I don't want to risk it. Students are very loyal to their college.
I often wish, and I've said, I think that staff sometimes should affiliate, with one of the colleges because they have college nights, and I love going to the different dining halls, but I was like, I would need like a name tag that listed all 10 colleges, because the more you learn about the colleges, the more that you like about each one of them. So I think the longer we're on campus, the harder that decision would be. But I know that that's a top question for many of our guests who've joined us today. And if you decide to attend Santa Cruz, it is within your acceptance process that you will identify your top 5 preferences. And again, that's when you submit your statement of intent to register, which is again, how you accept your offer of admission. I wanted to share, and I don't know, David or Glenn, if you've asked students before, I often like to ask them, how did you select your college? What did you use to decide? And of course, the themes, a lot of college or students will choose based on the theme, but others choose their colleges based on the location of the college. Maybe if you're a swimmer, you want to live closer to the swimming people, or if you like to run, you want to be closer to the outdoor track. Some of them choose by architecture. And even one of our students from Southern California, she shared with me, she chose her college by the color. But I think the biggest thing is to keep in mind that your major does not determine your college.
Great, thanks, Michelle. As you think about all this new information, be reassured that orientation will help you learn all this bit by bit. Slug orientation, which is required, takes place throughout the summer and it's completely online. Our orientation leaders are current students who will help guide you through 3 courses, sort of online courses, that will help you gain a deep understanding of our community to help make your academic and social transition. Completion of these courses then allows you to enroll in fall classes at the earliest possible time. So you want to focus on slug orientation when June, right? When it starts in June. The first course starts in June and we'll send you the information about how to log in and get started. Orientation contains a lot of details about tuition and fees, billing and payments, and financial aid like accepting and declining awards. So still lots of time to learn about those things. Summer Edge is an opportunity this summer to start your degree early. It's optional, it's a choice you can make, and it has so many benefits. You can accelerate your studies by choosing from over 300 classes to help ensure you'll graduate on time. And you can take classes remotely this summer at 25% off tuition. Out-of-state students and out-of-country students, you'll pay the same tuition rate as Californians this summer. That's beyond the 25% off, so that's great news. For any student who's applied for financial aid for the 2021 year, which starts in fall, if you want to take classes this summer, you need to submit a FAFSA for the 2019-20 last year's academic year. Summer's the 4th quarter of each year. So you need to submit a last year FAFSA from 1920 or a DREAM app for 1920 to be awarded financial aid for Summer Edge. There's a fabulous grant funding available if you are eligible. We've prepared a 2-minute video to tell you more about Summer Edge.
Hi, I'm Monica Parikh, the director of Summer Edge. You are invited to come and start taking classes at UC Santa Cruz this summer. Summer Edge is your chance to start earning credits before the rush of fall. Taking classes in summer gives you an early start on your degree progress while you make friends and get to know the campus. You'll take 2 courses for 7 credits towards your degree. One is a class for your major that you choose from a list of recommendations put together by our academic advisors. The other is a low workload class focused on navigating this fabulous research university to make the most of your time here. Only Edge students receive an exclusive 25% off summer tuition. Coming from out of state or another country, you do not pay any additional non-resident summer tuition. Summer tuition will be the same rate as Californians. For eligible students, financial aid offers grant funding based on your financial need. And good news, Edge funding does not decrease your 4-year aid. Peer mentors who are current students here to support your academic success and your personal transition into UCSC. They put on useful workshops like planning your degree requirements out or how to get involved with undergraduate research on campus. Visit summer.ucsc.edu to learn more. You need to register to attend. Online registration opens April 1st.
So online registration is open now, and that's what enables us to set up your accounts for summer instead of just starting for fall. The deadline is June 15th. So plenty of time. You've got until June 15th to register, and this is for first year and transfer students. Are there any questions I can answer about how to start taking classes this summer?
Monica, can I speak quickly, David? Because you do
Sure.
such a great job. I know sometimes people think of registering as actually registering for classes. Does registering for Summer Edge mean the same thing as registering for classes?
Nope, you've registered to get your account set up for summer.
Okay, that's right.
You
Yes.
have to turn everything on. Everything right now is set for fall after you start, after you submit your statement of intent to register. Everything will be set up for fall, so we just manually switch everything to summer. And that's what registering is. Then after that, you'd enroll in your classes.
That's
Great.
awesome.
Thank you, Monica. And you guys will be pleased to know that we are close to 600 questions now.
Wow, it's
But
wonderful.
as we see that question number, and everyone who's asking questions, feel free to keep asking questions. We have a great team of admissions officers, and as well as a couple of students, and also some people from financial aid, all there answering questions. So
Awesome.
keep up the good work. Just to continue on that same question, Monica, could you talk a little bit more about the financial aid? Someone who's receiving some financial aid, is that applicable? So if I'm a freshman student and I'm starting this fall, and
I understand the question.
and the fall may or may not be partly online.
Mhm.
So what is it? How would that whole process work if I'm potentially receiving some financial aid?
Okay, I understand the question. So I'll start with answering for a frosh, then I'll answer for a transfer, then I think I'll let Glenn take over. So if you're a frosh, then the majority of you haven't used any financial aid from the 2019-20 year. So when you submit your FAFSA from last year, our financial aid office will use that whole year to calculate how much financial aid you have available. That's how they're able to really give eligible students a lot of summer aid to be able to come take EDGE classes. It will not take away from your next year aid. It won't take away from your 4-year aid. If you need to stay for a 5th or a 6th year, which you probably wouldn't if you started by taking summer classes, that's when you would see a little less aid availability because of having used 2019-20. So it won't affect your 4-year financial aid as a frosh. And if you come to Summer Edge and then you don't come in fall because you've chosen to defer to winter or to next year, there's no penalty, no problem with that. You can complete your summer classes and push pause. Now to answer for a transfer student, a lot of you transfers have used your financial aid from the 2019-20 year, and that's totally fine. There's still some aid availability if you are eligible, and our financial aid office works really hard to package as large an amount of grant as they can because they stand behind helping students be able to start early. So for a transfer student, you would just have to go back into your 2019-2020 FAFSA and add UCSC's school code if you haven't already, just to make sure that it's on there. Then after you register for the program, the financial aid office can give you financial aid estimates based on that last year FAFSA. What did I miss, Glenn?
I think you hit all the good points. But for our current students, okay, that are coming into the fall, again, make sure to submit your 2019-2020 FAFSA. It's different from the FAFSA that you just submitted, which is a 2020-21 FAFSA. And then the financial information that you're going to be submitting on those FAFSAs are different also. So the current FAFSA is for the 2017 financials, and then for the next academic year, it's the 2018 financial information. Also, when you're looking at summer, definitely look at our websites. There's great information on there, especially the grant calculator, which helps calculate out the grant that you could possibly be eligible for.
And Glenn, for a lot of students, who are financial aid eligible Californians, grant eligible students. The grant estimate was $2,800. Is that still right, accurate?
Correct, yes.
That exceeds the amount of tuition that 7 credits cost. So for some students, grant aid will completely cover your summer edge tuition and fees.
Yes, so you would be covered, and so you would just need to think about what your other expenses would be outside of your tuition and fees. So your books, and then any of your living expenses.
Great, thank you so much. One question for you, Glenn. So if someone is still looking to add UCSC's code to their FAFSA, is that possible?
Absolutely. You can go into your FAFSA. It's an open application, and you can go in and change that school code. And again, it's 001321.
How long does that usually take for them to add? Do you know?
Usually we get that information within 5 business days into our office, so we can see that information. So yeah, the sooner that they make those changes, the better.
Glenn, would you also say, especially given, again, we know that, not only just nationally, but around the world, so many family financial situations have changed. If a family has not already submitted a FAFSA, what would you recommend they do?
Submit it ASAP. So, the March 2nd deadline was our priority processing deadline. Okay? I would highly suggest, once you go ahead and SIR into UC Santa Cruz, to put that March 2nd deadline into your calendar as a recurring event, okay? So really you're looking at October 1st through March 2nd of every year. That's your window to submit your FAFSA. Okay? So you really have 6 months to do it. Put that in there and get that information submitted as soon as you can. And then, another thing to note is our office has financial aid workshops. Okay? So once that October window opens up for application, we have workshops in which students can come in and they can sit side by side with advisors, and we would assist them. Okay, so if they have questions about their applications and getting it submitted, we'll go ahead and walk them through that process.
Okay, I think that's great that it's not too late for anybody to be really submitting their FAFSA or DREAM app, those who are eligible to submit even for next year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Michelle, that lines up with another question that we have, which is questions about what does the conditional in a conditional aid offer mean?
So the conditional aid offer, so it's based on your financial aid application that you submit and the financial information that's on there. Okay? If you decide to come to, or I should say, once you decide to come to Santa Cruz, you may get selected for a process called verification. So when we verify the information, which could include your tax information, okay, or your W-2s, your wage information, can compare it to the financial aid application, there might be some changes. So it is subject to change depending on what we review.
Great, okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I have a couple housing questions. So one of the first questions is, why are colleges 9 and 10 called colleges 9 and 10?
That's a great question. Again, our first college was Cowell, and our most recently named college, we used to have, what was it, even 2-3 years ago, college 8, 9, and 10. And so Rachel Carson College was our most recently named college. And sometimes it's a benefactor who, gives a gift to the campus that allows us to name the college. And, the story for Rachel Carson was amazing because it wasn't Rachel Carson's family who donated the funding. It was actually the Webster family. We have this amazing family that's been really connected to the campus, and they wanted to, really give a gift that was lifelong. And they spoke with their college provost and asked, if you had a gift, what would you name this college? And so without hesitation, the provost said, I would call it Rachel Carson because she exemplifies the theme of the college. And so ideally, even within my time on campus, we'd love to see 9 and 10 also get named.
I'd love to see someone on this reception someday be the benefactor who donates the money to make College 9 or College 10 your named college?
No, that's great.
We
So
have,
no, that's a great question. And then they were in the order. So the first college again was Cowell, and you can look on the college's website and they'll give you kind of year by year as we grew. And so I think that was awesome. So great
we have
question.
a couple more housing questions. So I think one is generally about the process of housing. When do people find out their college? When do they find out who their roommate is? And then we also have a couple of people who wanted to hear more about housing guarantees and also the question of housing for transfer students. So could Michelle, maybe do you want to start with that?
Yeah, I'll start with it. And again, I think kind of laying out the time frame. Some students now, of course, have already started accepting their offer of admission. So the key is when you accept your offer, you're going to give us those top 5 choices. And then the deadline is May 1st for freshmen in terms of submitting your statement of intent to register. And so really, I believe it's about March 3rd, we have a meeting with our housing colleagues and through the colleges, and we will begin, and no later than the middle of May, should you actually get your college assignment. And so upon receiving that college assignment, and we do our best to give students their top choices, but we can't possibly give everybody the top choice, but I do understand the vast majority of students will receive one of the top 3 choices. And so once you get that, then you're going to fill out what's called, the housing application, and we'll get all of that information in and then begin to make actual housing and roommate assignments over the summer.
And you gotta promise you'll do your housing application yourself. Don't have your parents do it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because that information is taken trying to find a roommate that's a really good fit with you. And so I think that Monica's advice is really, really important. Be your true authentic self when you're completing that application. And so again, college assignments in May, and then your actual housing assignment within the college and roommates, that happens more in the July timeframe. And then transfers, of course, you can also select your choices, and yet we do have an amazing transfer community at Porter College. And so some of the students, a lot of our transfer students are actually in Porter College. And so that's an area where there's, again, many other transfer students that have some similar lived experiences. And so that's really awesome, but it doesn't mean that transfer students have to be there in Porter College.
Great.
And then there are, again, all freshmen are guaranteed 2 years, and then our transfer students are guaranteed 1 year. But an example of some of the longer guarantees are the EOP students. And so there are some populations that have a little bit longer guarantee. And then we do have, I think it's important to mention, a college housing office, and part of their role too is to help students find housing off campus. And so they help students to transition when you're ready to move off campus. They help students with that process.
Anything to add, Monica or Glenn?
Nothing from my side.
Okay. So switching topics a little bit, could you talk a little bit, maybe Monica, talk a little bit more about working on campus? And Glenn, I think that some students are eligible for work-study funding. Could you could both of you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, I wish the term work-study would use a different word, because it sounds a lot to a student like I can work while I'm in classes, right? Everyone who's eligible can work while they're in classes. They don't need work-study funding through financial aid to do that. Work-study funding that comes through financial aid in your financial aid packages is money that helps us pay your salary. It makes a benefit for the employer because they get that funding to help pay your salary. So for example, if you take a position in the Career Center and you're making $12 an hour, there's a chance that your work-study funding from financial aid would pay $6 of those dollars, and your Career Center supervisor pays the other $6. So you get your full 12, but your employer has this wonderful opportunity to have this stellar employee at half the price. Okay, so that's what work-study funding looks like for how it would affect you. It makes you a more attractive, candidate to employers. But but you can work on campus without receiving work-study funding. I don't choose the students that I hire based on whether they do or don't have work-study funding. I choose them based on their application materials and how they interview. So some examples of jobs, you can work 20 hours a week or less. You could say, I can only work 10. You know, quarters go fast. So you want to manage your time very carefully. So you tell your supervisor, I want to work 10 hours a week. The fitness center hires tons of students. Facilities and maintenance, get outside. The library hires tons of students, including nighttime work. The dining halls. And then there's really wonderful jobs in administrative offices like Michelle's, Glenn's, and mine, where you learn a lot about frontline customer service, a lot of Excel, spreadsheet work, technology, phone calls, tabling at events. The possibilities are really quite endless. And fortunately, all the positions are hosted in one system. It's called the ER system, and it's hosted by the Career Center. So you can find all campus jobs in this one place. And you submit your applications, and then you hear back for interviews. Glenn, anything you want to add?
Yeah, so think about financial aid. You get a certain amount of money that's offered onto your financial aid package. And then you have the ability to earn that amount. Okay, so once you accept it, no, the money doesn't go to you. Instead, what happens is, depending on how many hours you work, your pay rates, you'll get paid just like another employee, and get paid every other week. And then you will earn that money up to that amount that we've awarded you. Another thing to note about work study is it's not considered income. So when you're doing your taxes, it's actually considered as financial aid, not as income. So there wouldn't be an impact on your tax return. Monica mentioned, the different type of experience you can have with work study. You can do what you want with it, okay? If you just need some extra money, there are jobs on campus. There's plenty of jobs on campus, and you would look on that Career Center website and look at those work study eligible positions. But at the same time, you might want to look at maybe something along the lines of your major. Maybe if you're research-based, maybe there's something that you can help out with that is a work study position, and help with research, and then help with your program, and gain that experience, especially if that's something you want to do, down the line. So, it's up to you what you want to do with it, but it is an opportunity for you to gain that experience and also to gain some money.
And there's lots of opportunities outside of pay, like service learning, community service, independent studies. You can do independent studies and field research with faculty. That's often unpaid, but of course, so valuable. So there's lots of other things you can do in that time. So to Glenn's point, you want to think about your costs and your finances and reassess it every so often. During fall, winter, and spring, when classes are in session, it's a max 20 hours per week if you have an on-campus job. And if you're someone who's eligible to work off campus, that's not really regulated in the same way with a cap. And then over summer, we hire people to work everything from full-time orientation leaders, residence hall advisors. Mentors can work full-time all summer, or keep part-time work.
Great. Thank you so much. And Michelle, just following a little bit on what Monica was talking about there about working, participating in research, and I think you mentioned this in one of the earlier slides that 70% of our undergraduate students do that. Could you talk a little bit about that, and also perhaps also address the Scholars Program?
Yeah. No, I think, and I really highly encourage students, and especially if you haven't even been thinking about getting involved in undergraduate research, I highly encourage you to do that. And our faculty members really enjoy working with our students. And I think you saw the video that included Enrico Ramirez Ruiz, and I loved, he's one of our astrophysicists, and when he talks about working with students and his freshmen as well as the students come in as transfer, he shares over and over again how his research is better because of the undergraduate students who are working with him. And I know that it can sometimes be intimidating to think, how would I ever get involved, with undergraduate research? And sometimes it's just kind of reflecting on what your passion is And if you have an area that you're really intrigued with, really interested in, you can look. Our faculty all have these amazing profiles on our websites. And if you're interested in, and it might be music, it could be, you know, something within our Jack Baskin School of Engineering or anthropology. I think we had somebody who was interested in that triple major. You know, if there's an area that you're interested in, you know, you can find faculty that are doing work, and you might, you know, even ahead of time email them. And I know that I always recommend to students to go visit their faculty members during their office hours. And so you can talk with them. And I think one of the best things is just to say, you know, Professor so-and-so, can you tell me about your research? You know, you saw Professor Flora Liu, and she does her research in Ecuador. And so some of the research doesn't even happen on our own campus. And so students have the opportunity to work on research projects locally as well as globally. But a lot of it is just, you know, stay curious, be curious, and, you know, talk with the faculty members. And the college scholars, to tie that in, David, I think students who've been invited to participate in the college scholars, my personal recommendation, I guess, and professional as well, is take advantage of that opportunity, because you're going to be with a small cohort of students among 4 different colleges, and you're going to have even more access to faculty members, and they're going to share their research with you. They're going to encourage you, you know, very early on to connect with other faculty members. They'll have small kind of workshops and seminar courses where, again, within a much smaller setting, you're going to have opportunities to engage with the faculty and perhaps finding out about some opportunities, you know, much earlier with other students that are in that program. And a lot of times, I think Monica and I both at some of the meetings that we attend, you know, hear from the faculty director of the college scholars. And I think over and over again, the students love the community that they're living within in those residential halls within those 4 particular colleges. But I know, you know, one of our faculty members, Rita Maida, who works with our Senate Committee on Admissions and Financial Aid, she studies the moray eel, and she's down in Catalina Island every summer. Dan Costa and some of our ecology and evolutionary biology faculty members, they might be in Corsica, you know, in France. They might be doing some of their work right up here at Año Nuevo. And so there's so many opportunities, again, right on campus as well as around the world. And so get involved. And some students, you know, when we talk with our undergraduates, sometimes they participate in more than one research opportunity. And so some of our students as undergraduates have even been published before they ever graduate, you know, even from their undergraduate degree. So if you want to get involved, you absolutely will have the opportunity to engage in undergraduate research.
And Michelle, I think you also might have touched on this a little bit at this, what you just were talking about also goes for internships, correct?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, and we have some, you know, a staff member over in our Jack Baskin School of Engineering, and, you know, his primary role is to connect with companies and, you know, business and industry in the Silicon Valley. And so we want to ensure that our students have that, what is it, you know, real life experience, whether it's, you know, with a business or organization, or if it's with undergraduate research. And often that's going to help you even to get an interview, you know, never mind get the job, but to help you to really stand out from other people who are applying to graduate school or applying for different jobs. So I think that can give you a real advantage and some amazing and very practical experience.
Great. Well, Monica, I think we have just a couple more slides to go, and then we have one last Q&A section at the end.
Oh, great. We have time for more questions later. Wonderful. Here's one last video to give you more of a tour of campus. It's about 2 minutes long.
Santa Cruz as a place just has a certain aura about it that you can't explain. It's in the people, it's in the environment, it's in the surroundings, it's in the city itself.
I really love the outdoors, and UC Santa Cruz feels such a emotional base where I can de-stress, and there's so many trails everywhere that you can just go in and feel like you are in nature itself, like you're not on a university campus, which I love.
We champion diversity and provide a safe space to create new knowledge. We are committed to social and environmental justice in a changing world. Our interdisciplinary approach creates global citizens with the will to engage with complex problems. We are unique, we are innovators, we are Banana Slugs.
UC Santa Cruz is one of 9 campuses in the University of California system. We have a truly unique and beautiful setting on 2,000 acres of redwoods and fields overlooking the Monterey Bay.
Coming from a different country, I was initially very nervous, but you do get that immediate calming feeling once you step onto campus. When I was looking at other universities, I met up with a lot of representatives and I asked them about the research opportunities, and they all kind of looked at me funny when I mentioned that I was interested in getting into research as an undergraduate student, maybe as a freshman or even a sophomore. And here I found those opportunities available to me right off the bat. They really encourage undergraduate students to get into research in all areas of study, not just the sciences and engineering. There's opportunities in every single major.
We are passionate free thinkers who engage in shaping the world. Mavericks, explorers, visionaries.
Once again, I hope you enjoyed the video just as much as I do. I think each and every time that we watch it, day in and day out, I continue to be inspired by our students, our staff, our faculty, as well as our alumni. And I might be just a little bit biased, but I truly believe that Santa Cruz is really one of the best places in the world. I think you see that we're in the middle of a redwood forest, 2,000 acres overlooking the Monterey Bay. And so I often think for a stressed out student, or perhaps administrator, and maybe anybody, that, you know, it's the wonderful place to be, because you can walk outside and just breathe in the fresh air, right, you know, again, in the middle of the redwoods, and realize, okay, I got this. So again, if you haven't had a chance to visit, try to check things out online. I know right now it's really challenging since you can't physically come and visit. So if you decide that we are the right place for you, we've outlined here the next steps. And again, this information is also available on the website that you received with your offer of admissions, the yes.ucsc.edu. And so it's important, I think you've heard earlier from all areas, you know, make sure that you're taking a look at the portal and looking for any updates that we might have for you in there. So again, we recognize that this spring has been pretty challenging for everyone. And so our key message in terms of your conditions of admission is to truly do your best to complete, you know, all the courses you thought you would take, you know, with the passing grades and above, because we know we're going to have some different, perhaps grading systems this spring, as well as getting those final records and, you know, the test scores to us. So just do your very best to make a good faith effort to complete what you had indicated on your application, and then trying to get the required items to us in a timely fashion. And if you have any problems getting information to us, please email admissions at admissions@ucsc.edu, and we have staff that can support you. I think you can see there, we've got the website on there that you can take a look at, that we will have updates in terms of any potential impacts with COVID-19. And so you can check out that website occasionally to see if there's any updates. And then again, we're going to be communicating with you just as quickly as we can related to the status of instruction for fall. And not only will we email everybody, you know, students as well as families, we plan to have another live webinar so that we can address any questions that you might have. But our goal is to support you in achieving your goals. And so just work with us, and we're going to continue to support you. Ideally then, once you get everything completed, you know, as Monica shared with the summer programs, you're, you know, working on your slug orientation and then possibly joining us for Summer Edge or in the fall.
Great. Thank you so much, Michelle. So we have more questions, of course. We have over 730 questions now.
Wow.
Most of
how many answered? I'd like to know how many answered.
Yeah. 626, 627 now.
Wow, that's
our team is amazing. That is absolutely remarkable.
So You know, I know that you talked a little bit about this in that opening video of the 5-minute video, just about the way in which Santa Cruz was founded and sort of its mission. And we've had several students several students and parents ask questions about what makes Santa Cruz different in terms of the professor-student relationship. I think you touched on a little bit with the research, working with faculty to do research, but could you talk a little bit more about that? And then in that answer, could you also, someone wanted you to talk a little bit more about the astrophysics professors that you were talking about. I think you named Enrico and Raja in that.
Yeah, I don't think I had Raja, but I'm happy to mention that as well. Well, I think, again, when you look back, and, you know, I've had so much fun, and David, I think you've been with us, I don't know, a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, and we've had some great conversations about our founding. And I think to be at a campus that's still pretty young, it's fun that we have some of our founding faculty members, some of our founding alumni. And when you read the stories and hear the stories, it is really special because Santa Cruz, as we often say, is different by design. And so it was this really radical, bold experiment that, you know, could we be a world-renowned research university and have this feel of a collegiate, a much smaller, you know, liberal arts college feel? And so on our campus of 10,000 acres, we have kind of these clusters by kind of sister colleges that we call, and it's kind of in a horseshoe around the college. And thinking about the focus on undergraduate education, you know, that was a huge priority when we started because of this bold experiment. So I think that our undergraduates tend to have a great deal of opportunities to engage with faculty on their research, and in large part because that's really truly how we were founded, with this focus on undergraduates. And so I think that lends to additional opportunities to engage with the faculty members on research, on creative works as well. And so I think that is, you know, something really distinctive. I think, you know, one of the things often people will ask me, you know, one of my favorite things was when our Vice Chancellor of University Relations years ago and said, Michelle, describe Santa Cruz, you know, students in one word. I hardly ever do anything in one word, as my team as the team well knows. And I didn't even have to think about it. I mean, it was just passionate. Like, our students and our faculty and our alumni, there's this shared bond with the people here in Santa Cruz. And it's not a tagline, it's just a really realistic, genuine feeling that people want to make the world a better place. And so I think that that commitment to social justice, that commitment to the environment, like, that transcends every single major we have. And so I think there's a kind of person that's really, really attracted to Santa Cruz that genuinely and wholeheartedly wants to make a difference. And then this interdisciplinary, again, I love the story about the mapping of the human genome. And I think our campus really, really keeps an open mind and looks across the disciplines. And, you know, it took our computer scientist and the biologist working together across the lines to really be successful in mapping the human genome. And so I think we tend to be, again, a little bit more radical in our thinking, a little bit more bold in how we do this. And I know, I love, if you ever have a chance, anybody out there that wants to, you know, kind of Google the Human Genome Project and David Hausler, you know, he said, we did it because nobody told us we couldn't. And so I think there are people with really this open mind, and Harry Noller, you know, he speaks about that greatly, that he wasn't limited by everybody saying, oh, that's not going to work, that's not going to work. He had kind of people with a real open mind. And I'll share a little bit, I think you had mentioned about the astrophysics, and, you know, as you saw, Enrico Ramirez Ruiz is phenomenal. One of the people in the photo with him that was part of that video is a younger, newer professor, Ryan Foley. And I don't know if anybody in the audience, and especially whoever posed the question, recalls the merging of the neutron stars 2 or 3 years ago. And I can't remember what I did 2 or 3 days ago. So timing now is a little bit off for me. But it was Ryan and his team of students that were the first in the entire world to see the merging of the neutron stars. And so it was really phenomenal. And so I think, again, that's something on the cutting edge. Our another faculty member, Sandra Faber, under the Obama administration, she received the National Medal of Science for the research that she has done. And our prior chancellor, Chancellor Blumenthal, you know, he came to campus, I believe it was in the early 70s. And, you know, he was one of those founding faculty members in the Department of Astrophysics. And so there, and I can't even tell you how many exoplanets that our faculty members have identified. So it's pretty remarkable, the team that we have in astrophysics. And Raja, who you mentioned, Guhatakirta, he's just a really close colleague, and he's worked for years with high school students who come to the campus and work on authentic research in many different disciplines well outside of astrophysics.
Great, thank you so much.
With their work and want to work with the students. And again, I think they really recognize that their research is better because of the student perspectives that they bring and all the questions that they ask.
Yeah, I believe that we were doing an event not too long ago, and someone said that Santa Cruz was originally founded by faculty members from Berkeley and UCLA who wanted to be part of a different type of campus.
Yeah.
And that's very much the founding story of the campus. And a question, it's a very a basic question for Glenn, which has come up a couple times and I haven't had a chance to ask it yet. So about the insurance, students are required to have insurance, and there's some students will receive some part of their financial aid package which addresses that, correct?
Correct, yes. If they're eligible, they could receive a UC health insurance grant, which would pay the health insurance, the campus health insurance. So we need to make sure that all students have health insurance. But if the student is covered underneath their family, they do have that opportunity to waive that. And they would want to make sure that they waive that by the September 1st deadline. But they would do that through the health center, through their insurance department. Take a look at their website and make sure to submit the appropriate information that they need for that waiver.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Monica, I think we've talked a little bit about the 3-year pathways, and I think that some people are kind of curious if the 3-year pathways and the summer edge are somehow connected. I know that both of them can help you get to degree faster, but could you talk a little bit about both 3-year pathways and summer edge again?
Oh, that's a fabulous question. They're not really connected. I just sort of grouped them in different ways you can get moving. So the 3-year pathways are about 17 different majors that the academic advising office helped figure out to just package for people to look at, that you could get this done in 3 years. It's still a 4-year degree, it's still a full bachelor's, but here you could get this degree done in 3 years if you took a couple summer classes and maybe came in with APs. So you can Google those. They're all available on the advising website. I think there's 17 options now. And Summer Edge, completely separate, run by my office, was a program designed to invite every single new frosh and transfer to just get started early. I met a lot of transfer students who found out they were admitted at the end of March 4 years ago, and they said, I can't believe I have to wait until the end of September to start. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can fix this. So you're welcome to start this summer. The interesting thing about this particular summer is you could go beyond the parameters that Edge has had in the past. In the past, Summer Edge was just 5-week classes in the second 5-week session. There's 2 5-week sessions of summer. And in the past, it was limited just to session 2 5 weeks. But because all the classes are going to be offered remotely this summer, we've over 340 classes to choose from this summer, 100% remote, all online. You could take more than just session 2 classes. You could take session 1 classes or both, really. So I want to just mention that side note. And if you're interested, you can email us anytime, summeredge@ucsc.edu. And we have a Book Me app where you can make Zoom appointments with our student assistants who all came through Edge, if you want to hear a little more about it from a student perspective. And they're well trained, so they can also answer cost questions as well.
They might be able to give a little bit of information, more information about the financial aid situation as well.
Yeah.
So that's
well, and I want to mention, Monica, because I think those 17 programs, they really range broadly from literature to business management, economics, to psychology, exactly, art, and then our anthropology student that we had, in the room. And then I also would just remind you, those have the pathways designed, but there's other majors that may not be included in there that, again, if students come in and you've got those credits and you take advantage of summer, again, I think highly motivated students, there's a lot of support for you. And so if your goal is to get to graduate school and get moving, there's a lot of combinations that can support you.
And vice versa. If you're interested in a major that's listed as a 3-year pathway, you can absolutely spend 4 years getting it. You can absolutely spend 4 years getting it. Do a study abroad, grab a minor as well. So no hurry. We're not in a hurry to get rid of you.
Well, and I think that that's such a great point, Monica, because I think when we were developing these, I think the mindset of even our campus provost at the time is, we don't want to get in your way if that's what you want to do. And so I think that Monica's point is so well taken. And I don't know, many of you and some of the parents, when you do come to campus, if you've never visited, you'll understand maybe why your student won't be in a big hurry to get out in 3 or 4 years. And that's why some of us stay for many years on campus, is it's an absolutely stunning environment.
And that brings up a good point. And I think on the slide here, there's a link to our virtual tour at this point. And, who knows if things get a little bit better in the next week or two, maybe it would be possible to visit. But currently, we're offering virtual tours, and we have a number of undergraduate students who are also are available to chat on different topics. If you look on the admissions website, there's a number of different kinds of platforms we've arranged for by major, by housing and food and student clubs and groups and student research and all sorts of things. So this is one platform which we've developed, but we have a number of other ones to really do the best we can to help people understand our campus. I think we have a few more minutes. We'll go all the way up to 7 because we still have 75 questions that are yet to be answered. It is now 6:48, so maybe we'll take a couple more questions before we do our slug trivia.
Oh, I'd be happy to. Yeah, keep them coming. This is great.
So, Michelle, could you, just for people who might have missed it at the beginning of the session, could you talk a little bit about where we are in the planning process for the fall and whether or not, what do we know, what do we not know about campus being offered online, and what implications does that have for people who are thinking about submitting their statement of intent to register as freshmen by May 1st or as transfer by June 1st?
Yeah, I think this, global pandemic has certainly helped a lot of us trying to be as patient as possible, because I know that the uncertainty can be really unnerving. And so we are doing our very best. And again, I've been impressed with campus leadership making the decisions in a methodical fashion in terms of, campus and our community safety is number one, but also trying to make decisions, soon enough and yet not too soon, because we need to kind of the virus itself, the coronavirus itself is really dictating the timelines. And yet we have several different work groups that are put together right now. And I know that the goal, most recently, the goal is, to have a decision by, ideally by mid-May, but, certainly ideally by the end of May in terms of how we plan to proceed with the fall related to instruction. And so you can imagine that campuses across the world, not even just in the US, are putting all of the options on the table. And so, we're looking at, ideally, we would like to be in person, but we could only be in person if a lot of different parameters are met. And so we're following a lot of the local, state, as well as national advice from the health experts in terms of, the social distancing. And so until adequate testing, as well as a vaccine are available, we're anticipating that we may have something that's not all in person, may not be all remote, it may be a combination. And so we don't have that answer yet, but we're continuing to seek new information and putting all the pieces together. And ideally, we'll have an update to everyone by mid to late May. And at that time, not only are we going to send you an email that gives you that update, but we want to be able to reconvene with all of you to make sure that we can answer the questions that you might have. And I know you're probably more anxious than we are, but, Monica and Glenn, I think it's fair to say that a lot of our staff and our faculty are right there with you in terms of wondering, what it's going to look like for the fall. But we're working, as quickly and as methodically as we can.
Great. Maybe we'll take one or two more questions, and those people who are still have questions which are open on the question list, I know we'll get to some of them in the next 10 minutes, But the ones we don't get to, please do feel free to email us at admissions@ucsc.edu. We want to answer your questions. We also have one-on-one appointments that can be arranged if people are looking to do that. We have a number of admissions officers who can help answer and can steer you to other parts on campus if you have questions that don't get answered today. And I can't believe that we have actually 800 questions now.
You could have officially set the record,
Wow.
I think, this group, right?
And we've answered 740 of them almost. So we're doing great. So thank you all for so many of your questions. Let's see. Where do I ask the last couple questions? So there were some questions about general education, Monica, and I think this you've kind of addressed this in some of your comments about Summer Edge before, but I think that one of the things that we're really excited about is the opportunity to help people understand that, you know, they can save money and just get a jump on general ed requirements, and also get access to advisors quickly, more quickly through that program.
Thanks. I'd love to explain a little bit more about what a general education requirement is. When Michelle spoke earlier about a liberal arts education, it's a system that's very common where you have a major, and then you're absolutely required outside of your major to take classes in different disciplines to produce a well-rounded bachelor's degree. This is called concentration and distribution. And the distribution classes are called your general education requirements. And for short, we call them GEs. So there's GEs for every single major everybody has to take. I think Michelle listed like arts, math, science, language, history, literature. And they look at specific things like statistical analysis, no matter what your major is. Cross-cultural and multiculturalism, no matter what your major is. The planet, ethnic and racial studies, right? So these are the general education requirements. So if you want to take classes this summer that are towards your degree, all the classes are towards your degree. If you want to take classes towards your major, you can take a major requirement. Or if you want to take a general education, a GE, then you could choose one of those. So either way, it's degree progress, but that's the difference between a major requirement and a GE.
Well, and I would add, you know, in some of them too, when you know your major ahead of time, some of the GEs, some of the required courses in your major also satisfy a general education requirement. So again, I think with our advisors, we're going to help you, you know, make sure to make some really informed decisions. And so I think to keep that in mind, and I know, Monica, one of my favorite gen ed requirements, because I think when we were in school, there was kind of a structure, and I give our faculty a lot of credit. It's not easy to revamp general education. And yet when I arrived on campus back in 2007, our faculty, our academic senate, were trying to make sure that there was relevancy to our general education structure at the time. And so, you know, we really look at it's not just, okay, here's the sciences, here's the humanities, like when I was an undergraduate, and maybe some of the parents here as well. But, you know, one of them is interpreting arts and media. And so I like that idea, so they're relevant to today's world. And again, I think you mentioned the ethnicity and race, and then the, you know, the quantitative reasoning. And so every one of these areas has the intended learning outcomes and really preparing students. But what I love is, again, you might find something that you never imagined having an interest in. And so it may
improv is a great example. Improv is the class offered this summer.
Yeah. So speaking of improv, I think we have 5 minutes left, and I don't want to miss our slug trivia.
Okay.
So this is we're doing a little bit of an improv here, because this is the first time that we've done our slug trivia this way. So I think many of you have heard of Instagram. If you don't have Instagram, you can email us your answers. In order to win, you need to post a photo of yourself with your certificate of admission or a UCSC banner or a UCSC logo that you color in or paint or whatever. Hashtag at yes to UCSC and slug trivia and the answer to the question. And again, if you don't have Instagram, You can use email. That's fine. We have 5 questions. We will be sending out honest to goodness swag.
Slug gear. I like to call that slug gear.
Slug gear. T-shirts or water bottles, some good slug gear. On the screen is our Instagram channel. So I hope that's clear. So we need a photo of you with your certificate of admission or UCSC banner or logo of some sort, or you can do the slug sign if you know what that is. Monica, do you know what that is? Can you, Michelle? We have to get some students to show you, but you can look on the videos and see if you can find that. And hashtag yes to UCSC and slug trivia. And once we get maybe 24 hours goes by, we'll go and pull all those together, and we will find the 5 winners randomly selected out of the 5 questions. Okay, so we're gonna read the questions. If you would please try and jot down the answers just so you have them, or the questions. We won't have them in the feed or anywhere else, so listen carefully.
Okay. Thank you, David. And I think one of the items we want to ask for your patience, because you obviously see us doing this webinar. We're in different locations all over, so we can't even get back to campus right now. So we will be getting something to you. And so, David, I think you'll be following up with some of the winners to make sure we have the right contact information.
Yes, we will.
Awesome. Okay, so did we have a drum roll? I'm pretty sure I heard a drum roll. The first question, just to get you warmed up, what is the name of our beloved mascot?
Can you repeat the question again?
Do we get a little tick, tick, tick sound? What is the name of our beloved mascot? Question number 1. So David, for somebody, what's that?
I think we're ready for question number 2.
Yes.
Awesome. Perfect. So they would just put that name down with everything else that you described. Perfect.
Correct.
So for question number 2, and again, if you're writing this down, I think that was great advice, David. Does your major determine your college? Question number 2. Does your major determine your college?
All right, so now we have a financial aid question. What can you do if your income has changed significantly? What can you do if your income has changed significantly?
All right, number 4. When is the earliest you can start taking classes? Summer, fall quarter, or winter? Number 4, when's the earliest you can start taking classes? Summer, fall, or winter quarter? And the last question, this one's a doozy. We've had 4 staff on today's reception. Can you name our 4 first names? That's hard. That's a tough one.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much, Monica. And I think it's important, and David, you did such a great job earlier, so we should say we even have 4 in person, perhaps, not even in person, I don't even know what you call it on video, but I think David mentioned, what do we have, like 25 people behind the scenes?
Answering questions.
On the questions. Yeah, so really remarkable. So awesome. Well, I really, really want to thank everybody for joining us today, and we truly hope that you enjoyed the program and perhaps learned a few things along the way that will help you to really make an informed decision. And before we conclude the program, I wanted to give Monica and Glenn a chance if you have any final thoughts to share with the group.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you, Michelle. Huge congratulations to all of you on your hard work. You've accomplished so much so far, and I really see things being taken away from you left and right, and I'm so, so sorry. I want to give you that compassion, and then again, on a positive note, you've accomplished so much. You've made so many sacrifices and pushed yourself so hard. You'll go really, really far in life, so this too shall pass. So congratulations from me to you.
Yeah, it was wonderful joining all of you today. Thanks for spending the time with us. And we definitely look forward to seeing you join the Slug family.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Monica and Glenn. And You know, David, again, I want to appreciate and thank you for being here as well. Did you want to add anything?
No,
Did I
just
put you on the spot.
thank everyone so much, and we look forward to seeing all of your posts on the Instagram channel UCSC Admissions.
Thanks, David. Well, I certainly hope that I get to meet many of you students as well as family members in the future. We can do this, connect in person at some point, hopefully. And again, I really want to remind you, if you have any follow-up questions, please take a look at the websites, the emails that we've had listed here. And then I highly encourage you to take the virtual tour that David had mentioned. And then also do spend some time exploring the different majors, even if you're pretty certain that you have that in mind. And for those of you who haven't been to the majors page, nearly every single major has these amazing videos that really help to bring the major alive in terms of the program, the facilities, research opportunities. It's really a great opportunity. So again, congratulations on everything that you have achieved so far, and continue to make the best of the situation that we're in. And I just wish you the very best as you make this decision, and do look forward to meeting many of you in person in the future. So this officially concludes our admitted student reception.
Go Slugs.